What up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Giants Collective. My favorite one because it's Friday night and the weekend is here, and that's always a good thing. Anthony, obviously, last time he was on location, so he's unable to join us tonight. But we do have Adriana, who will be out of the country next week, and we got some world travelers here. As I said last time, Chris and I, we just like to stay put in rainy New York. Chris here as well. And again, not a ton to talk about. The Giants do come up with some stuff. We can talk about the numbers. We can finally put that to rest and a couple other things. Really, on Friday nights, what we want to do, guys and girls, is take your questions. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. So if you guys ever have any questions that you want to ask the panel, put those on Wednesday's show in the comments section, and we will do our best to answer them on Friday's edition. We're going to do that until we get into the regular season, when obviously there'll be a lot more to discuss. And next week, we'll be able to discuss the schedule, because I believe that comes out May 14th. So I should be able to know who we're playing and when. So at least we'll have something to discuss then. A couple of things before we get started. Again, if you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. The fastest growing Giants channel on YouTube. And it's not true, but I just love to say it. You can also follow us on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Those links are in the description below. And really quick, we also do have memberships. As you see, Lucas, welcome aboard, my friend. Really appreciate it. So far, what we have for the basic membership is planned out. Emojis, which obviously you guys see. Member badges, obviously you get that extra name. We're going to have some monthly member messages and name and outros. Your names in the outro of the shows. Those are things that we're working on, and maybe more in the future. So, Lucas, welcome aboard. Appreciate it. Adriana, I'm going to start with you. I know Chris said he watched a couple clips of this, but you guys, I'm sure in the comment section, been watching the New York Giants and, the Giants live thing where they showed Abdul Carter's draft process, and Jaxson Dart was on there today. What do you think about that so far? What were your impressions of what they're doing there?
I loved it. I know a lot of people were hit or miss on Hard Knocks last year, but I just loved getting to see that behind the scenes way of everything being done, especially on draft night. So I really appreciate that they gave us a little snippet into that this year with Giants Life. And, you get to see Joe and Dable behind the scenes with the trade and how that all went down. You can see Joe Shane stressing about it, but ultimately he did a really nice job of playing out the board and really seeing how everything was going to go down. And obviously it worked in the Giants' favor. So I thought that was interesting. And I really liked seeing a little bit more into the top 30 visits. That I thought was great last year from Hard Knocks too. What I thought was really interesting about it was the first episode, they showed Abdul Carter, and during his top 30 visit and the visit at the Combine, most of the questions and the work was coming from the outside linebackers coach as opposed to Shane Bowen. And I thought that was really interesting because I kind of just felt like, you saw the excitement of Shane Bowen and all of the coaches when they drafted Abdul Carter. And I just kind of thought like maybe we'll get to see more from Bowen. Like, this is the guy that I think everyone has question marks on and feel like, he's walking a tightrope of if one thing goes wrong, he's getting fired. So I wanted to see him really invested with Abdul Carter and asking him all these questions like Dable did last year with the quarterbacks. So I thought it was interesting that we didn't see a lot of that, and it could just be the way that they clipped it out. It was like a 13-minute video that encapsulated all of draft night, the top 30, the Combine, and everything. So, I know they had to cut things out, but I just thought it was interesting how the outside linebacker coach was really involved, the questions that they asked him. I loved that quote when he was asked about learning the 5 different positions. He said, I'll learn all of them, give me them all. So I love that type of attitude from a player. I think we're really seeing it from him and Scattaboo and Jaxson Dart. It's like, the more you get to see from these guys, I think it's really easy to love their personality and their fight and competitiveness, and the fact that they're Giants and they came here and they want to win. And, you see it from Abdul Carter and you see it from Jaxson Dart in their FaceTimes and stuff. And what I thought was so funny was Jaxson Dart, after they draft him, I don't know if you guys saw this, they FaceTime him. And, it's him and all of the coaches and stuff in the room. And he says, you guys know I wanted to be with the Giants. I'm so happy you drafted me. I love you guys. Yeah. And everyone's bursts out laughing. And I just was like, oh God, he's like really making me like excited. And I really like Dart. And, Abdul Carter saying with his agent, Drew, and his dad that New York was their number one place. This is where they wanted to be. And I know it's easy to say after getting drafted here, but I think you just really feel their excitement come through the video. And I just felt like, God, I'm so excited for these guys, and I just don't want them to let me down.
I feel you. Chris, I know you said you only saw a couple of snippets on Twitter, but haven't got a chance to watch the whole thing. What was your takeaway from the things that you did see?
Yeah, like you said, I haven't got. I'm going to watch that actually tonight. I plan on.
Yeah, I think you're going to like it. It's pretty cool.
What'd you say, Bad Dog?
I think you're going to like it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw a couple of clips on Twitter. I saw the where they were talking about the trade and where Shane said he's going to roll the dice. To me, that kind of implied it was more of Dable's decision with the quarterback, which it should be. I think he was brought in here to groom a quarterback. That's why he got the job to begin with, and I think that's why he still has the job. So, I'm sure it was collaborative, but it seems like it was more Dable influenced at the quarterback position. But I kind of expect that with what we saw last year with Hard Knocks and how strenuous his procedure is when it comes to evaluating the quarterback position. You got to see a little bit of that. I saw it with some of the clips with Jaxson Dart, where I think Dable threw like a curveball at him. And then he told Dart to, I forgot what it was. Like he changed the play, and then Dart was quick on his feet to point it out. And Dable kind of said, "You better have not have said the wrong,
right,
whatever he said." But I saw
think
that.
He said, "Who's the boss?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw, I don't take too much into this. It's just fun and exciting to see the rookies in the building wearing the numbers. We no longer have to speculate what number Abdul Carter is going to wear. And the one thing that continues to stand out to me with Jaxson Dart, obviously I can't say the play yet. We saw like one clip where he threw a football and people are acting like he's Josh Allen.
You mean he's not?
I hope he is. I hope he is. And I think he could be a very good quarterback, and we'll find out. But the way he speaks to the media, I saw some of the answers today. He's well-spoken, man. And it's night and day with Daniel Jones. Not to say that Daniel Jones was bad with the media, but he was very blah.
Plain?
Yeah, plain and every fifth word. This guy has a personality. He's a character. He's well-spoken. And if he plays well, he's going to be really popular in the New York market. That's what I will say about Jaxson Dart.
He definitely has a infectious personality.
Yeah.
I think you can really enjoy his personality. He's a little spicy. You know what I mean? Daniel Jones is a bowl of porridge. I mean, that's just what he was. And, Eli's hilarious. Like, Eli was really funny, but you really didn't see that when he talked to the media. Like, he seemed like he was pretty deadpan and serious. I don't think we really got to appreciate Eli Manning's humor until after the fact. I don't know, maybe Daniel Jones is like that, but he didn't seem like it. And a lot of people were taken aback by his and I feel like he played quarterback that way. I do, two things. Number one, Abdul Carter's shirt. I want that. I can't afford it, but I love the shirt.
Louis
Vuitton, not the shorts. I couldn't pull the shorts off. I love the shirt. I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, I wish I could get that shirt." I thought that was awesome. But one thing I wanted to ask, Chris, and you probably didn't see this, Adriana, you might have picked up on this, and I did a video about this when I got home from work. I don't know what your take was. They asked Abdul Carter about Theo Johnson, and it seemed cold to me, like he was forcing himself to say something nice about him. And then at the end, he said, "When I see him, we got some unfinished business to take care of." Now, I guess somebody told me after I made the video, he kind of downplayed this. But did you have a take on that? Because I thought that was kind of strange.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. They showed that in Giants Life, if you guys didn't watch it yet. And I think that clip has also been circulating on social. And it took me a second to be like, why would he have beef with Theo Johnson? And then I was like, duh, they went to the same college and played together. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I don't know what to make of it because I feel like we don't really know who Theo Johnson is yet. Like, he hasn't really spoken much to the media or spent much time with them. And then he got injured, so he missed some playing time. So the vibe that I get from him is he's kind of like chill and laid back. And I feel like Abdul Carter is a little more of Jaxson Dart, where he's that like competitive spiciness. And I feel like they I could see them like going after it during practice where like Abdul Carter is the tough guy. Like, yo, you got to do this better or do this. Like I could see him having that type of personality. And I could see Theo being like, yo, dude, like lay off. I'm just doing what I have to do out here. So that was kind of the vibe that I got. And I think the more that once we actually get to see them in training camp, I think it's going to be really fun to watch. And I actually thought to myself today, oh God, I hope that on the first day of camp, there's not like helmets off and they're punching each other.
I'm wondering.
Like,
they're going to finish business. They're going to go right.
Right. Like, is that what he means by that? I think we're going to find out soon enough. But I do think that if there was any like real serious beef there, I think that the Giants would have had more concerns about it and wouldn't have kept that in Giants life if it was a serious problem. I think that they were showcasing it like, oh, this is kind of funny. Like, you know, different personalities and tough guy. They played against each other and now they're on the same team. Because we know that, Marcus Bowe and Tyrone Tracy played together at Purdue, but they were both on the same side of the ball. And it seems like it was going to be a good, exciting reunion for those two. So I don't know. We'll see.
Chris, I didn't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I didn't see it. But I mean, obviously there's a history there. They both went to Penn State, but yeah, I didn't see it. It sounds like it's like bickering offense, defense, though, both sides of the ball. We all know that the players are always dying to hit each other, right? Like they're always most excited when the pads come on. So they're probably, you know, they got a little history there at Penn State, but I didn't see it, so I can't speak on the context of what he said. I don't know what he said.
Yeah,
it was literally still says that about LT, that like when he sees him in person, LT still jokes around and being like, let me just get one hit on you. Come on. Because back then, obviously, same thing. You don't hit the quarterback. And I don't know if you guys went to the Legends event last year, but I feel like, you know, Phil talked about it a lot then because LT was there and he's made references to like their relationship during their playing time together. And, you know, LT always says, well, I'm the one who taught Sims how to play quarterback because he didn't know how to play until I came around. And, you know, it was the year Sims had been there. I think he was the quarterback for like 5 years or something. And it wasn't until the 6th year where he really took it a step further. And it was right after I think LT was drafted. And LT's like, yeah, it's because I taught him how to play. But he would always say, like they'd line up at practice and Phil would be like, don't come near me. Like, you're not allowed to get your hands on me. And LT would always be like, come on, let me try. And he'd be like, saying it to the coaches, like, let me just get one hit. And I'm like, oh my God, is this what it is? It might be. I don't know.
I know in the America's game, I know LT said when he first saw Phil Simms, he goes, I didn't know Phil Simms. I didn't want him to know. He goes, I just looked at him. I thought he was one of those guys that drink tea with the pinky up. I remember him saying that because he's got blonde hair, you know, and everything else. So it's probably just some friendly band. I just thought I found that interesting because normally, you know, I was, you know, I'm excited to be reunited with him. You know, it's good. He was a good teammate. Like he kind of figured that, and he was kind of like, yeah, you know, we went at it hard, and you know, at the end of the year, he gave me my respect. He gave me my respect, but we got some unfinished business. I wasn't sure exactly what he was talking about. Really quick with these numbers, and then we'll get into the questions. Chris, do you, out of all the numbers that the guys got, did you have a favorite? Did you think somebody should have a different number? And did you have a favorite number? That
Scatterby wore 44, which was appropriate. He was 4 in college, and you know, he doubled up his number. And obviously Ahmad Bradshaw, who he kind of runs similar to. He runs angry, he runs physical. So a lot of Giants fans were excited about that. Jaxson Dart, from what I heard, that number could be temporary. Like that's not a formality. So I don't hate it. You know, I'm not a huge numbers guy. I don't really care what they wear as long as they play well. But
right.
Abdul Carter ended up wearing 51. So I saw a lot of people say that he took half of LT's number and half of Sims's number or half of his Penn State number and combined it into one. 51, obviously a traditional good number for a linebacker, pass rusher. Not good with the last guy, Azeez Ojulari. He couldn't stay on the field. But yeah, I think that I thought it was going to be a number in the 50s, especially, you know, once he said that he wanted to go for LT with 56. So something in the 50s makes sense at 51. I'm just glad the number thing is over. I don't want to talk about it anymore. We know what his number is going to be. No more speculation. No more talking about unretiring numbers. So yeah. I mean, what was the other numbers? Who am I forgetting about? Who was the second?
91 is Alexander.
Oh, 91. Right. Yeah, I saw he was. I didn't get a chance to listen to the clip, but I saw Bobby retweeted that, and he said that he doesn't know if he knows who Justin Tuck is, because I guess somebody asked him about Justin Tuck, and he kind of gave a weird answer. I didn't get a chance to hear the response, but yeah, he's wearing 91, my second favorite Giant of all time. So yeah, I'm just glad the numbers are over with. I'm not a big number. I don't really care what number they wear, as long as they help us win football games.
Yeah, this is the most I've heard about numbers. Giants. So, Adriana, did you have a favorite or?
I do like them all. I think that the first couple games, and I don't know if Fedoni is going to get any starting time from the get-go, but he's wearing 86. So I think it's going to take, like, if him and Slayton are on the field together, it's going to take me a minute to be like, oh, wait, that's not Slayton in 86 because he switched to 81. But I like 86 for Fedoni. It's a great tight end number. I think they all are very suitable. I don't love Dart with 6. And he said something like he doesn't know if he loves it either. He's going to wait to see it in the pictures and see if he sticks with it. But I hope he goes with like 8 or 12. I just think those are better.
I don't want it to be 8.
I was going to say 8 might be a little rough.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. I think people are not going to be on board with that. I really want him to wear 2, which is his college number. And I want Tay Banks to take a normal cornerback number. Like, why are you wearing single numbers as a cornerback? Come on.
Yeah.
Until you catch an interception or like do something noteworthy, fine. But come on.
I love the Scatabo number. That's the number I thought I should wear. I know a lot of Giants fans. I'm on Bradshaw. I get it. But again, being the old guy in the room, I'm old enough to remember a guy that wasn't a Giant that wore 44 and he ran pissed off. Riggins. I mean, to me, Scatabo screams 44. Like I'm just like that is a great number for him. As far as the other ones go, like I said, I get to take it or leave it. It doesn't really matter, but this has been a big story. And the other thing I tell people all the time, and I learned this the hard way myself, these guys that get these numbers right away, they don't always keep them. They do switch around after cuts or after a year. I mean, we've seen guys change numbers. Darius Slayton's changed numbers. Deontay Banks changed numbers last year. This year, guys come in, they buy numbers, and it's crazy. But the number thing is it's been crazy as far as the numbers go. But I'm glad that that's all said and done. I mean, I got to worry about this until next year when we probably have to go through it all again. Maybe the Giants will put an end to it. Like Adriana said last show, is just, your numbers are your numbers. Pick from here. This is what's available. Let's do these questions. We had a good question from Jay Clark. I thought this was a good one. He said, hindsight being 2020, would you rather have Cam Ward or Abdul Carter and Jaxson Dart? Maybe us getting the third pick was a blessing in disguise. Chris.
Ooh, good question. First off, if we would have got Cam Ward, we would have had, I mean, I guess his question is, the hypothetical is if he dropped the 3, but he was never going to drop the 3. So if we got Cam Ward, you would have had to probably give up a future first round pick.
I think what he's saying is a lot of, like myself included. I'm not going to deny this. I wanted him to have the first overall pick. I did not want him to win again. I think that's what he's asking there.
I think, I mean, if I'm being honest, and it's way too early to say, Jay Clark, like if Cam Ward ends up being a top 5 or 6 quarterback and Jaxson Dart does not, the answer's simple to that. As good as I think Abdul Carter is going to be, if Cam Ward ends up being an elite quarterback and Jaxson Dart does not, you'd rather Cam Ward. So I think it's way too early to say. But if I had to say going in, I would rather have the combination of Carter and Dart, because I personally don't think Cam Ward will be an elite quarterback. I think he can certainly be a good quarterback. Probably will end up being the best quarterback in this draft class when all is said and done. But I don't think he's going to be an upper echelon. When I say upper echelon, I mean the likes of a Pat Mahomes, a Josh Allen, that level of quarterback. So that being said, I think Abdul Carter is going to be an elite pass rusher. I think he is going to be in that class where the Miles get, maybe not quite, but in that class. When you talk about the top 5, 6, 7 edge rushers in football, I think he will be in that conversation. And I think Jaxson Dart certainly has the possibility of at least being a good quarterback in the NFL. So if I had to say today, I'd go with what we ended up with. But you don't know. 3-4 years from now, if Cam Ward is a top 6, 7 quarterback, you go with Cam Ward, of course, if Jaxson Dart doesn't work out to be that level of player at that position.
Well, John, what are your feelings on that question?
Yeah, it's tough to say. And it's a good question, because another thing they showed during Giants Life was that on the night of the draft, Joe Shane called up the Titans GM and said, one last time, are you staying put or are you willing to move? So, that says to me, they really liked Cam Ward and they did whatever they could to try and move up for him too. So So it's interesting because I think if they would have lost that Colts game and stayed at number one, I feel pretty confident that they probably would have stayed put and picked Cam Ward, which I would have been thrilled with. That's what I wanted at the time. And that's why I was so upset that, they ended up winning that game. Also because you played 3 good football games out of 17 weeks. And one of them happened to be 3 games out of, week 17. So, but I love Abdul Carter, and he was really like my second guy. Like when it was pretty confident that we had no chance of getting one, I was thrilled with Abdul Carter. And the more I see from Jaxson Dart, the more I do like him. But like Chris said, if Cam Ward ends up being a really good quarterback and Abdul Carter ends up getting hurt and, Jaxson Dart's not great, that would suck. It would, but we really don't know yet. But I will say that I'm really happy that we have Abdul Carter, and I'm thrilled that he is going to be a piece on this defense. And I think he's going to be really good. And I'm starting to have more confidence that Jaxson Dart is going to be a good football player in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be amazing, but I feel like he's got the capabilities to be pretty good.
Yeah, I've been a Cam Ward guy for a long time. I really wanted him to be a New York Giant because I just felt like he was the best quarterback in this draft class. I think there was a fall off from him to everybody else. And the quarterback is the most important position in football. I don't think there's any question about that. To Chris's point, we'll have to wait and see. If Cameron Ward is an elite quarterback and Jaxson Dart is, we're drafting a quarterback in 2 years because he can't play at this level, then yeah, you still don't want a Cam Ward. However, if we win games, that's really all that comes down to, is can we win games? I mean, if Cameron Ward's, has better personal success, but they're not winning games, and Jaxson Dart doesn't have the numbers that Cameron Ward does, but we're winning games, I don't think anybody cares. You know what I mean? I think that's the end all be all of it, is just we have to win football games. And I think that if we win football games, nobody's going to look back and say, they should have taken Cameron Ward or vice versa. So I did like the draft. I think it ended up being really good. And maybe it is a blessing in disguise that it worked out the way it did. So we'd have to wait and see. But I liked the draft. I thought it was a really good draft without question. So
good question, though.
It was a good question. I saw that one, and that's why I was like, well, let me check that out and see, what you guys thought about the question. It was a good question. So, like I said, if you guys have questions, man, ask them in like the community posts, ask them on the Wednesday show or whatever, and we'll get to them the best that we can. Before we go any further, I just want to say this show is brought to you by our good friends at BetUS. You can go over to BetUS, check out their promotion. Let's hear from our sponsor. 40 seconds, as Mike Francis would say, back after this.
This video is being brought to you by the good people at BetUS. Do you like free money? You want to take advantage of a great promotion? Well, BetUS has a great deal for you. Go to BetUS and enter the promo code YouTube150 to get a 150% match deposit bonus on your first deposit and a 125% match deposit bonus on your second and third deposits, all the way up to $2,000 in bonus cash. Great customer service is 24/7, 365 days a year. Fastest payouts in the business within 24 hours. And 10% gambler's insurance against all your net losses as long as you stay active every 6 months. Terms and conditions apply. And when you gamble, please do so responsibly. Never bet more than you can afford to lose.
And Mike is muted there for a second. Yeah, so check that out. Sorry about that. My mic just got unplugged. I don't know what happened there. Oh, by the way, yeah, I got to do this too. Because, we did this last stream. And as you can see, Vegas, they're not very high in the New York Giants. You see the odds.
Has it changed?
The
Jaxson Dart clip today didn't alter the
odds. No, the clips haven't helped anything. The numbers, them getting their numbers, that hasn't helped the odds either. But as you can see, the Giants, obviously, many people picking against them and not allowing them or not thinking they're going to win more than 5 games this year. I hope we do. I'm going in enthusiastic and ready to go and optimistic, but the Giants, man, I hope I have the same energy in October. That's all I can ever say. But yeah, big shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the show. And let's get to some of your questions. Chris and Benedict's intern, one of the best in the business.
The
best intern ever. Every like is yards per game the Giants offense will average. Like that.
How many likes do we have? I hope we have more than like 30 because that would be like last year's off.
Right now we have 108. So
Okay.
that is about where we were last year. Hopefully we can get a few more likes and subscribers. So yeah, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe.
Appreciate you for being here. The only intern that pays us. We say it all the time. You're the best, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's it goes above and beyond, to say the least. Larry, thank you, man. He says, for me, that behind the scenes footage from the draft process and how Carter and Jaxson handled the interviews, they need to release Jadora's footage any day one of rookie camp. Any day one of rookie camp thoughts. Larry, I didn't see the rookie camp, so I can't speak to it. But you guys can. I know, Chris, you definitely said you.
Yeah, I mean, it's no pads. They're in shirts and t-shirts. I'm just excited to see them on the field at the end of the day. Actually, the only guy that took place at any of the 7-on-7s was Dart in terms of the rookies, I think, or at least the rookies that were drafted. I think that's what I read. They took place in drills, but Dart was the only one that did the 7-on-7s. I don't get overly excited about this. Even training camp, I've learned my lesson from doing this on YouTube for the last 6 or 7 years. Every training camp, everybody amps it. You know, they talk so highly about the team or so low about the team. And, you know, I remember in 2022, the year where we actually surprised and had a good year, everybody was destroying the Giants in training camp. They said how awful they looked, and that was the one year we had a good season. So I don't read too much into training camp. You're trying to evaluate your talent, and we'll evaluate week 1. That's where I'll start to formulate a real opinion on this football team. But it's exciting to see the players back and in action, and the rookies certainly bring some optimism and joy, which is nice for a change.
They bring new energy.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Adriana, what did you take away? If you had any takeaways from day one of rookie camp?
Well, I agree with Larry. I love seeing the interviews with those two guys and how their football IQ is really impressive. I also want to see the Shador footage. I'm like, show us the proof. Everyone agrees that his interviews were trash. Someone let it loose. Like, I know, can we get a hacker in here? Someone hack someone's systems, because he interviewed with all these teams. He did it with the Browns, the Giants, whoever else. I'm just show us if it was that bad. Come on. He still got drafted, But yeah, like Chris, it's exciting. I saw a beautiful deep ball that Dart threw to Bly, and I was like, oh, it's nice to see someone just let it fly.
A tight spiral. I'll say that. It was a nice spiral. Yeah.
Beautiful throw.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of the few clips that I saw, because it's only open to the media. So whatever they were posting on Twitter was what I was able to see. And Dable said too that they're really careful with injuries at this point, because they're really just starting, especially with the draft guys. So I think that's why a lot of them didn't do 7-on-7s. Like, they're very cautious with them, it sounds like. So yeah, I'm happy about this time of year, because I think it's the most optimistic that us as fans will probably be. So I'm enjoying it while it lasts. I'm great to see nice clips from camp. Dable looks like a pig in shit. I don't think I've ever seen him so excited.
Dable definitely looks
between draft night and then the clips that I saw of him at practice today looked like he was dancing on the sidelines. I'm like, Dable's got his mojo back.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the weight. Maybe he doesn't have to gain, 50 more pounds to be a good coach again. He just felt like he needed a quarterback that he has faith in, because he really looked.
He looks like he put on a little bit of weight, which I'm happy about. You get back to the way it was in 2022. But yeah, that's a good point. Dable definitely looks like a changed person this year. Like, you could tell he's happy to be there. He's optimistic. So that's something to be optimistic about through the little bit of what we've seen.
Yes. I thought that was interesting, because I saw that clip and then I was listening to his press conference, and I'm like, we still got the same old Dable in the press conferences. It's all, same boring this and that. Oh, we don't expect too much from these guys. We take it easy. We only do a little bit, Dart's a rookie, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Dable don't give too much, that's for sure. But I will say this. Dable did lose weight. He lost 230 pounds of a quarterback that I don't think he ever wanted. And now he has his guy, and he knows that Joe Shane went up and got his guy. And I think Brian Dable is excited to work with Jaxson Dart, because this is the guy that he handpicked. And if you looked at those interviews, you could see how happy he was, joking around, throwing whatever that was, a towel or whatever it was at him. And I think that Dable was very impressed by Jaxson Dart's football acumen, and I think he really wanted him. And when the Giants went out and got him, I think he was happy. And if you looked at the way that Joe Shane was looking at Brian Dable, Joe Shane looked like he was saying, "I got you, guy. You better make this shit work." I went, "I got you, guy. It's your turn. I did my job. Now you do yours." But hopefully, we're not going to have to know anything about Jaxson Dart until 2026.
That'd be ideal.
For all the excitement he brings and the different personality, and it's a great personality and the toughness, and like I said, just a difference at quarterback. We've had the same guy there for 6 years. This is a totally different quarterback room. The excitement and optimism that people get from this, we have to wait a year. We want to wait a year. We don't want to be forced in.
Well, if we have to wait a year, it means the team's playing pretty well.
Correct.
Or
they're not terrible to the point where they got to throw them in there. But as far as the behind the scenes footage, Larry, I love what they've done. I'm definitely looking forward to more. And, I'm always amazed at the questions that these guys get asked and how they can do it that quick. I mean, it just tells you how quick and how much you have to, change your way of thinking and know everything that's going on around you and what everybody else is doing besides yourself at the quarterback position. It is amazing the stuff that they have to retain, and it's just thrown at you. It's like a pop quiz. You always got to be prepared. And supposedly that's what Shedeur Sanders failed. So, but to your Adriana, don't worry. I'm sure at some point, it may not be in the next month or so, we're going to see something. Somebody is going to, it might not be the Giants interview. You're going to hear a Shedeur Sanders interview. I just have a feeling it's social media. Somebody's always got something, and it'll be leaked. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. I'd be shocked if we never saw a Shedeur Sanders interview. H50 says, I like the draft process videos with Dart and Carter. I think Dart is killing it in the press conferences. I hope he is good and stays a long time. Dart backs up his head coach in the press conference.
I said that in terms of Dart, that's what stands out to me. I'm not going to even look at his throws right now. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but he definitely brings what the young kids say, aura. He definitely brings a certain, leadership quality, I feel, and a guy that the team could rally behind. Of course, none of it's going to matter if he can't deliver on the field, but I've been impressed with the way that he's handled the media for sure. We'll see if we're impressed as fans when he gets an opportunity to play when it counts. But I agree with that. That really did stand out to me, not just today, but the couple days after he was drafted when they had a press conference with him. So he's going to be a fun interview for sure. He's a New York Giant.
Yeah, I think we know he has a relationship with Eli, right? And I think that Eli is probably one of the few people who really tried to explain to him the New York media and how it really is such a different beast than other places. So I'm curious if Eli was kind of the one who put something in his ear and was like, listen, you got to take these interviews seriously. There's a million of them. And the second you do or say something wrong, it's going to be all over the place. So I just wonder if he was in his ear, like, get on their good side and, start to get to know them, because you're going to see them a million times throughout the season, and they're probably not all as nice as they might seem to be today. So who knows? That could just be a conspiracy theory on my end. But I do think that him and Eli have a good relationship, and I am sure that Eli is mentoring him and trying to help him out. But I do love that from the get-go, he does really seem to have a personality in front of the camera. And we all agree that's one of the things, like, we know Eli has a great personality. He's tons of fun and he's hilarious, but we never saw that side of him when he was playing football. And I like that from some of these players. You're seeing that right out the gate, that, they're fun to be around. They're also very serious. They know a lot about football. They care about the people around them. They want to know everyone's names. And, you see Dart shaking hands with the water boy and, everyone involved in the process. So you also see that that's probably one of the reasons why the Giants like these guys, is that what they do when no one's watching is also important to them. So I haven't listened to his whole press conference yet, but I did think it was funny that he said that, he's testing out the number 6, but he's not sold until he sees it in pictures.
Right. That's an interesting take on a number. Yeah, Jaxson Dart definitely brings a different attitude and a little swag to the quarterback position, which I think you need. I think you certainly need to be a confident quarterback. It's something I always was on Daniel Jones's case about it. I don't feel like Daniel Jones is ever a confident quarterback. the Giants probably had a lot to do with that because they didn't give him reason to be confident. And, maybe Jaxson Dart isn't the guy. Maybe Jaxson Dart isn't going to be really good. Who knows? But what I do know is the Giants have set him up much better than they did Daniel Jones. And Jaxson Dart's going to have every chance to succeed here, especially going into next year because, we don't know. It's complete speculation, but we've discussed how the Giants took big swings at the defensive side of the ball this year. Next year, they're most likely going to take major swings at the offensive side.
Stunned if they don't. Assuming Shane and Dable are back, which I think is fair to assume at this point, their job's gonna depend on Jaxson Dart. So how do you not if they're ever gonna do it? I think it's got to be next offseason. The first year you throw him into the fire. We kind of did that with Eli, right? His first year as a starter, we went out and got Plaxico Burress. I do think the Giants are gonna do whatever they have to do to put him in the best situation they possibly can next year, and that includes starting this year by setting it up so he could sit and learn for, if not the entire year, the majority of the season. I think they're doing this properly and doing it well.
Yeah. I also think Jaxson Dart, I think Jaxson Dart was asking, the media their names so he could put a face to the name. So when he saw Pat Leonard, he's like, I'm avoiding that guy. So that guy, we don't talk to that guy. We ignore that guy. We don't talk to Pat Leonard. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm really not. I'm happy.
No, you're not kidding about that.
I'm saying maybe Eli was in his ear, like when you hear Pat Leonard.
Yeah, stay away from that guy over there. Don't talk to that guy right there. By the way, if you guys are watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the thumbs up. It does help out the stream. You can also check us out on Apple. If you could give us a 5-star review on Apple, that'd be great. Spotify and Amazon Music, anywhere you want to get Giants Collected. Those are the media outlets you can get us at, so the platforms, I should say. So check those out. Appreciate you watching. And, the continuous support of this channel has been awesome. And hopefully when we get into the season, we'll have a lot of good football to talk about. It'd be nice for a change. Chaotic Shy, thank you. He says, Strahan's in hot water with the fan base. I don't like 51 for Carter. Otherwise, go Giants.
Is there something new with Strahan?
I must have missed something because
he was at practice today speaking to the rookies.
I saw that.
Yeah. But what I think is interesting is that 2 months ago or 3 months ago at this point, Strahan is out there waving the Eagles flag, saying that he's taking shots at management. But all is forgiven now. He can come into the building and he can come talk to the rookies. Meanwhile, I'm like, us creators say one bad thing and we're shit out of luck.
I don't know. They've never reached out to me anyway, so I don't know anything about that. But it's, I've said a lot of bad things in my time on YouTube, and I'm sure I'll have more bad things to say too. I really would like to say some good things about the Giants. I really would. It would be a nice change of pace. And I've been saying a lot of good things about him after the draft. I think they did a good job. As far as Strahan goes,
he specified he's talking about the Eagles flag waving. I mean, that's 3 months ago.
In the past, though. Yeah, I mean, it aggravated me when he did it, but it is what it is. I think that Strahan is just frustrated. He is. Listen, man, Strahan for whatever he waving the Eagle flag and all stuff. I didn't like it. It wasn't a good look. But, I mean, the guy's a Giant. I mean, he played his whole career as a Giant. He's one of the greatest players in the history of our franchise, one of the greatest edge rushers in the history of the NFL. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl champion. He was great for us. And, him talking to the rookies, that means a lot, when it comes from a legend. I think it means a lot for him to go there and talk to these guys and tell them, you got to get your shit together. You got to do it on the field and everything matters pretty much. And I don't care. It's water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned, man. Him waving the Eagle flag was a bad look, but it's not that deep. I mean, who cares?
It's a mistake. It's a massive mistake, and it's a mistake we're going to have to see on social media probably for the next 20 years. But at the end of the day, he's still Michael Strahan.
If we win, we won't see that shit.
And he's still one of the greatest Giants of all time, still one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. He's not in hot water with me. He was in hot water with me for about a week, and then I was like, okay, well, he's still a Giant. He made a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
I just think it's odd that his like explanation was, it was a shot at management. And I don't know. Like, do I think John Mara is stubborn? Probably. Do I also think that if Michael Strahan came to them and said, listen, let me get involved with the defense, let me mentor the players, let me come talk, whatever, that they would say no? Like, I don't buy that. So
I agree with you. I think that was bullshit by Strahan. What I think happened, I don't know this, but I think Strahan thought it was something that he could do that would be funny. And it was something that just fell completely flat. And then he used that as an excuse for why he did it. I don't think it was with the intentions to take a shot at management. I agree with you on that.
That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, I think he just was happy for Saquon Barkley. It's really the way I look at it. But who knows, man? You never know what goes to these guys' heads. But like I said, that's last year's news. Just move on. The Giants win. Giants are winning football games. He'll wave the Giants flag, man. That's what we want, right? He'll bring back some Giant pride. Okay, that was not the most prideful moment, as a legendary Giant waving an Eagle flag. But let's bring some pride back. There was another thing I saw on Twitter, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not. I forgot who tweeted out. It said the NFC East is loaded, and it showed the 3 teams that are not the Giants.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And everybody said, there's 4 teams. Actually, I think Illuminor retweeted this and said there's 4 teams in the division. And I agree. We have to get respectability back, man. I mean, nobody can say the Giants were loaded the last few years. I want to be. We are part of the division, obviously, but we got to go and get some of this respect back, man. This division.
It could happen fast. If you hit on the quarterback, it could. You saw what happened with Washington last year. So if Jaxson Dart's the real deal, it could happen fast. Let's hope he is.
Yeah, let's hope this motivates the players, though, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I saw, too, in Giants life was that one of the first people that Abdul Carter met when he came into the building was Carl Banks, and they got to talk for a minute. So I think also it's a good reminder for these young players coming in that you're not just coming to the Giants. Like, the thing that really separates the Giants apart from all these other organizations is how much it really is a family feel. And the fact that Michael Strahan, a legend in the Giants and the NFL, is out here talking to them after day 1 at rookie camp. You're meeting Carl Banks, a 2-time Super Bowl winner, one of the best defensive players on the Giants for years and years, the first day you come in. Like, I think it's just kind of a good reminder of, like, this can be my legacy if I play up to, what these guys did before me. So I just hope that that's a good reminder and motivation for them that, what happened last year and what happened the last couple of years for the Giants is hopefully water under the bridge. Hopefully it's behind us. And, we're taking a step forward this year. And Dable always says every year is different. It's a new year. And I just hope that everyone feels that from, top to bottom, that we can just kind of wipe away last year and use this all as motivation, that everyone thinks the Giants are the worst team in the league again, that they're going to suck. I hope that we can all prove them wrong this year. That would be nice.
It'd be real nice.
Speaking of Carl Banks, so Carl Banks was drafted 3rd overall in 1984. Mm-hmm. Abdul Carter was drafted 3rd overall in 2025. The Giants made the playoffs in 1981. They missed in 82, 83. Banks is in there. They playoffs, Super Bowl. We went to the playoffs in 2022, missed in 2023, missed in 2024. Abdul Carter's picked 3rd overall, playoffs in 2025, playoffs in 2026, Super Bowl in 2027. It all comes back in the first, right? And listen, man, my son will be the same age I was when the Giants won the first Super Bowl. It's all coming together. I'm telling you, 2027. Watch out, except for Jaxson Dart won't be a Giant for 6 years like Sims was, or 7 years, but like Sims was in 1986. But
close enough. You know what's so fun? My uncle just texted me because he wanted to see the Giants life. He just watched it. This is verbatim what he just texted us. That was good stuff. Thanks. Pretty bizarre. Carter meets Banks, both first round, 3rd choices. Banks was in 1984. Now 41 years later. Wow. I remember the pick out of Michigan State that night, and I couldn't remember if I fed my daughter's dog this morning.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. So I'm right there with your uncle. It's pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny. Hey, minds think alike, man. I tell you. Jaden, thank you, man. How about the Knicks?
Yeah,
Game 3 tomorrow. Don't give Boston any momentum. Let's just win tomorrow.
Boston, insane stat to me. Boston from 1998 up until May 5th of 2025 had 64 20-point leads in a playoff game. They were 64-0. They've now lost 2 in a row to the Knicks when they had a 20-point lead first 2 games of the series. That's insane to me. Insane to me. And the coach for the Celtics, Mazzulla, has done an awful job. I don't know. I'm assuming you watched the game bad though, but the fouling of Mitch late in that game. That's why the Knicks were in the bonus when Brunson got fouled at the end of the game. They fouled Mitch twice when the Knicks weren't in the bonus, and that's why the Knicks. That alone was an awful decision. The Celtics just keep chucking up threes.
They missed 45 threes.
Yeah, I hope that continues because if it does, I think Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. So
I'm going to tell you this, and really quick, the last time they were there, they played the Pacers, right? So and they did that. They did it in '94 when they went to the finals. They played the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was the whole Reggie Miller and Spike Lee. That was that whole thing. And I want another shot at the Pacers because last year they only beat the Knicks because OG Anunoby got hurt in game 2. They were not, and once they got hurt, everybody was hurt. Yeah. So I want another shot at them because the Knicks should have beat them last year. I don't want to talk about the Knicks because we could be here all night because that New York team is actually well, you know what? New York sports is kind of coming around, man. The Yankees were in the World Series last year. The Mets were in the NLCS. The Mets are really good. The Yankees are in first place.
Yankees are playing well.
The Knicks are, on their they can win 2 more games in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the Giants, let's get it together. Let's get New York sports back to prominence. It would be nice. Corp, thank you, says, I've never been sold on Slayton. I've been very down on him and never wanted him on the team. When I learned that we signed him as a number 2 receiver, I wanted someone gone as much as him. I never wanted someone gone as much as him and Neil.
I don't get the Slayton hate by a lot of the Giants fans. I get that he's still attached to Dave Gettleman, so I guess people want to just wipe their hands clean completely of that era. But I mean, Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence are part of that era too. I never got the Slayton hate. I don't think he's a tremendous player by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a good player. I'm glad he's back. They got him back for what I feel is a decent salary. I'm not saying it was a steal, but I don't think we overpaid either. When you look at the wide receiver market, he's been durable. He's consistent. Hasn't had great quarterback play since he's been in the league. I don't, and he loves being a Giant, and he's a great teammate. So I don't really understand the Slayton hate. And it's not just Corp; it's a lot of Giants fans. I think he's a good player. I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, I feel like I know that our offense has been pretty bad the last couple of years since Slayton has been here, but he also, before Neighbors last year, was the leading receiver for the Giants 5 out of 6 years. And no, he didn't have 1,000-yard seasons. He didn't have 12 touchdowns every year. But I think people forget that because he wasn't as good as Neighbors or didn't put up these insane stats, that he was a bad receiver. And he really has been the best receiver on the Giants for that many years, which, like I said, is not saying a lot because the offense has been pretty awful, but I think that we just kind of have to put that into some perspective. Like, the Giants have been so bad, but Slayton has still been averaging well over 700 yards a year. So, I don't know. I think that having Neighbors and having a good quarterback is going to make a really big difference for Slayton this year. And I think that this is the first year that we're really going to see a lot of potential for Slayton because of that. I mean, he's always backed Daniel Jones, but the reality, his quarterbacks have been Daniel Jones and backups, and that's it. He's not really been on a team with a solid, high-scoring, good offense that has a reliable quarterback. So I think if Russ thinks that Jalen Hyatt is untapped potential, imagine what he can do for someone like Darius Slayton. I think he's going to have a good year.
I guess, you'd want a better number 2 receiver. I can understand that.
I agree with that.
You look at the combinations of, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, and now George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. You look at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I get it. I mean, I understand. But when you measure in the fact that Darius Slayton was a 5th-round pick, and he's been the most consistent Giants wide receiver with poor quarterback play, I think he's exceeded expectations. I mean, the fact that he's had, been here for so long and he's, been a really good teammate. He's been productive on the field. the whole offense has sucked. So I don't know what we could expect for Darius Slayton, but I understand that he's not the flashiest guy. He's not putting up these major statistics. Maybe people don't consider him a really good threat, but I would like to see what he does with competent quarterback play and Malik Neighbors on the other side of him. And again, he was a 5th-round pick. I think you've got great value there out of Darius Slayton, and he wants to be a Giant. He took a pay cut to remain here last year, a year before. And, I think he's a good leader in the locker room. And I think guys like Darius Slayton, when they win, it'll be extra sweet for those guys because they remember the crap that they went through before they got there. Monty Tuma went through a lot of crap too before he won a Super Bowl. So, I don't know.
I agree. I agree with that. What you said though, and that's why, like we've said the last couple of weeks, I think you will have a better number 2 wide receiver next year. I think the Giants are going to spend big at that position. If I had to guess, in free agency, and Slayton maybe will be the number 3 next year. But for now, I think he's fine. I think he's been a good Giant, and I'm happy he's back. I didn't think he was going to be back because I thought somebody was going to be willing to pay him, if at least equal, if not more than what the Giants did. And I thought he would view other opportunities as a much better opportunity for him to have a chance to compete, to make the playoffs, to win Super Bowls. In the end, he elected to come back with the Giants. So I'm not going to hate on a guy that loves being a Giant and has been fairly productive. I understand he's had drop problems more so in the past. I remember in the playoff game, I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Luckily, the Giants were able to still pull that out against the Vikings. He had a key drop late in that game. But, I mean, he's been a good Giant. And I think he, as a teammate, he's a great Giant. So I'm happy he's here. I honestly don't get the hate for Darius Slayton.
Sebastian Nagy says, I love the show, guys. Appreciate that. Keep it up. 2 questions for you all. What is your confidence level in Jaxson Dart? And do you want him to play all preseason games?
It's yet to be determined, man, in terms of my confidence in Jaxson Dart. Like, I got to see him play in a real NFL regular season game. More than one. We're already over the moon and the stars for Daniel Jones after his first start, too. So more than one. I can, see him for a year or 2 before I really formulate an opinion. Do I think he's got good tools? Sure. I think he's got mobility. He's tough as hell when you watch him run. I think he's got enough arm strength. But for me, the most optimistic thing for me with Jaxson Dart, I respect Brian Dable's opinion at the quarterback position. And if Brian Dable loves him with the hands-on experience he was able to get during the pre-draft process, well, that gives me more confidence in Jaxson Dart. So I think that's the thing that I'm most optimistic about going forward for Jaxson Dart. A guy that's supposed to be really smart in terms of evaluating quarterbacks loves him. So I think that's at least the thing that, as of now, I'm most optimistic about with Jaxson Dart.
Yeah, I think the confidence in the front office in Dart makes me feel like, especially seeing it from Dable, like we really never saw Dable to this excitement level or like really pushing for the guy. And I know they didn't draft Daniel Jones, but they ultimately decided to keep him. So I just feel like we see a really different side of Dable with Dart. And that gives me some confidence that him and Joe believe in him enough to say, this can be our guy of the future. And, from some of the things that I saw in college, obviously he's better than Daniel Jones coming out of college. And, I want to have confidence in him because I feel like they really went all in and they decided that this was their guy. So I want to, believe in them too. And I really want this team to start winning football games. And if that means that Jaxson Dart is the quarterback, then I hope he does it. So I would say where I am right now on draft night, I was at like a 3 or 4. I would say I'm up to like a 6 now, just from everything that I've seen and heard from him and seen from the front office and how they really believe in him and are going to, focus on making it work, and how they also have tried to really build up this team, not just for the quarterback, but as a whole. So I don't want to see him play all the preseason games because I do think that we need to see Russ and Jameis play a little bit. I don't really know how much, but I would like to see it be at least more than a drive. Like let's see them get some plays under their belt, especially in game 1. Let's just see it a little bit. And then Dart can play the rest of the preseason games. But I really I really want to see them play, the starters play a little bit, because I just feel like they need it. They need the reps, especially this Giants team. Year after year, they start off so slow. And it's not until week 3 or 4 where it feels like all of a sudden they all know what they're doing out there. And they just can't afford to do that. So let them get in at preseason, play some things, feel like they can maybe iron out some kinks like penalties and things like that, before the season actually starts. And maybe we won't get blown out 40-0 at home week 1. I don't know, maybe that'll help.
Or 28-6. Like I said, I think it was Joe Judge who said the first 2 games were an extension of the preseason. I never understood that philosophy at all. And yeah, I mean, people,
and it's not for other teams. Like, why do other teams come out? Why does Dallas come out week 1 guns blazing and beat us 40-0? Like, we're the only team who seems like they can't get their shit together until week 4.
Yeah, and then even then, I don't think we ever get together. It doesn't matter. I think by week 4, we're like, okay, this season's over. As far as my confidence level on Jaxson Dart, it's hard to say. I do like his personality. The more we've heard him talk, seeing the behind the scenes and how smart he is, and knowing what to do in certain situations, I think that goes a long way. For my confidence level, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't matter what my confidence level is in Jaxson Dart. The fact that Brian Dable has the utmost confidence in him is the most important. And if you look at what happened right after he was drafted and watch the Rams drop from 26 to 46, I'm pretty sure we all know that they were very interested in Jaxson Dart. And if Sean McVay is interested in him, obviously he must have some very good qualities that they see, that they feel, whatever his weaknesses are, they can coach up. And that's what you want. So Brian Dable being confident in him, I think that is really a testament. And I think that means a lot, that they feel like
that's what I'm most optimistic about. Yeah. They know more than we do. They have firsthand experience. So yeah, that's I think the most. And the preseason, I'd like him to get. Play in all of them, not necessarily start in all of them, but let him play. Get his feet wet. But I think it's important for us, like Adriana was saying, to get some preseason exposure. We know he's an NFL veteran. He's been in the league forever, but he's never played with a Brian Dable offense. He's never played with Malik Neighbors. I think it's important for him.
These guys, right?
Yeah, I think it's important for him to get on the same footing as these guys. So I'm not saying play him a full game, but give him a full game's worth of quarters throughout the preseason.
Right.
I think the Giants in recent history really have only played Daniel Jones about a quarter worth
of reps. A drive, whatever.
Yeah, throughout the entirety of the preseason. So I would like to see a little bit more of that for Russell Wilson, because it's important for the Giants to get off to a decent start this year, because you don't want to have to rush Jaxson Dart in there before you are completely confident that he's ready. So I agree. I think Russell Wilson should get decent reps in the preseason.
Yeah, listen, man, I think that's what the preseason's for, especially with new quarterbacks coming in and rookies coming in, to learn the offense, to learn the defense, to build chemistry with your teammates, to learn their habits, to learn their strengths and weaknesses, and to work on things that you don't want to work on the you don't want to be working on this shit in week 3. Like, you want to have it down pat. You don't want to be making mistakes because you don't have a good chemistry with these guys. I feel like it's important to get that in the preseason perfect order. Yeah, the playbook's vanilla. You're not going to see a lot of razzle dazzle. It's going to be your basic stuff. Same thing at defense is going to be your base defense in preseason. Not going to do anything extravagant, but you do build chemistry. You do learn your teammates, ins and outs or whatever. And that chemistry goes a long way, especially with the quarterback and his wide receivers. And if he's talking about untapped potential with Jalen Hyatt, that's a perfect place to see and build something with him, or build something with Slayton, or, get on the same page with Malik Neighbors, because you're going to want that going into week 1 so you can hit the ground running. You don't want to be adjusting and trying to figure stuff out when the games count. So I'm with you, Chris. I think a full game worth of quarters over 3 games is not terrible. Now, they're not going to play game 3. They never do. That's a dress rehearsal. Or not, sorry, that's for the guys to get the.
I forgot it's 3 games. I forgot
it's
maybe 2.5 quarters worth of reps throughout the first 2 preseason games. But I want him to get decent exposure with these receivers. I think that was a good point. And what I would like to see the Giants do in training camp, you don't want to do it too much because you want Wilson to get acclimated to the new weapons. But I would like to see Jaxson Dart get some first team reps in training camp to get used to playing with Malik Neighbors a bit. That I would like to see. But in the preseason, I think it's more important this year specifically for Wilson to get those reps with the first team.
Yeah, because as much of a veteran as he is, like you said, he hasn't played here. He hasn't played in this offense. He hasn't played with these players. He's got to learn, and they got to learn Russ.
Yeah.
So that's what preseason's for. Yeah, training camp is one thing, but it's training camp. You want to play against opposition, even like I said, if they are going against base defense, there's nothing extravagant. They're not going to show you all their extravagant blitzes and everything. You're not going to see all that stuff. Not so much because the Giants play these guys in the regular season, but other teams obviously check out film, and you don't want to expose too much on tape in the preseason. But you are still going against guys that are trying to make the team, so they're trying to do everything they can to stop you. That's what the preseason's always been for. I don't know why they don't. I mean, you don't need to take it seriously, but they should take it more seriously than they do. We'll finish it off with this one. We'll finish on a high note, and then we'll let you guys get to your weekend. Chris and Bad Dog's intern says Super Bowl stream will be so legendary.
Oh, dude, we were 2 wins away from doing a Super Bowl stream a couple of years ago, so that would be incredible. One day, I wanted to give Ray a shout out. I saw him say in the chat that this is the time in the off season where Chris and I catch up on our Tom Cruise movies. Ray, I can't wait to see the new Mission Impossible. It comes out in 2 weeks, so that's going to be awesome. I saw Sinners. That was awesome. But yeah, Super Bowl stream Bad Dog would be absolutely legendary.
Yeah, it's got to happen. Like, it's got to happen. So even if Super Bowl stream was legendary, but like you said, the playoff stream was legendary. Just the run that they had, just being above 500. Because you and I have been doing this for just 7 years now. I think this is our 7th year working together, and they've had one good season.
It wasn't even a great season. It was a good. No, it was a borderline great season.
It was a great season.
Would you say that I've been watching the Giants since like 95, 96 pretty religiously? I think that's in my top 5 or 6 favorite seasons of ever since I've been a Giants fan. That might be sad to say, but it was so unexpected. Obviously, it doesn't compete with the 07 and the 11 and the 08, and maybe not. Maybe top 5 strong. But I think it's close to my top. It was a really fun season that year, 2022. Really,
I saw all 4 Super Bowls. So
I don't go back.
5 Super Bowls. So those have to be my top. Not Super Bowl 35. I didn't like that game, but that run when Jim Foster came out and said, "Listen, we're going to. I'm putting on my car, pushing everything in the middle. I'm going all in." Whatever the hell he said. We're going to the playoffs, and
that's incredible season 2000. Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, but 2022 was very unexpected, and it was a refreshing change of pace. The way they won, they didn't dominate anybody. They came from behind to beat the Packers. They came from behind to beat the Titans, going for 2 to start the year. The Ravens, right? That was fun. The 2 Commanders games were really tight.
It was incredible in that game.
So there was a lot of really fun games in that season. And then obviously Minnesota, we won a playoff game, and for all Daniel Jones's fault, so you got to remind Cowboys fans that Dak Prescott has exactly 1 more playoff win than Daniel Jones.
That's an insane stat.
Yeah,
that's an insane stat. He goes there every year, basically. So that's an insane stat.
Yeah, he's Dak, so that is what it is. Right? I don't know what to say. With that said, we're going to wrap up another edition of Giants Collective. We appreciate all your support. It really does mean a lot to us. So thank you so much. Next week, like I said, the schedule comes out. Does it comes out like right after we're live? Does it come out at 8:00?
Yeah, but they are announcing. Early. Yeah, and I think they said they're announcing like a couple games on Monday, Tuesday. Like there's certain games that are going to come out before the official thing Wednesday. So we might have a couple games to talk about then.
Gotcha. All right. So
and David says this is my favorite Giants podcast. By the way, I don't remember who it was. I meant to say it, but we were mid conversation. Whoever that jerk was saying mean things about Adriana, don't come back. But David said
I think Borna or whoever banned him. So
okay, good, because that was he was just trolling. I know he was trying to get a reaction out of it, but stupid. But David says this is my favorite
about Bad Dog too. So I was like, "You're done here, sir."
Yeah. David says this is my favorite Giants podcast. You'll have great ideas and knowledge. Thanks for the entertainment. Well, David, we thank you for watching. There's so many Giants podcasts you could say that about. So for you to say that, and I don't think any of us claim to be the smartest Giant fan in the world, but we love our team. We love talking about our team, and we just try to have a good conversation and talk with the chat. So we appreciate you for being here.
Absolutely. So with that said, we'll end it on a positive note. And haters gonna hate. That's what it is. Keep drinking that haterade, baby, because we're here for it. For Adriana, she just drank some haterade. For Adriana, it's Bad Dog. Enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we out.